Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. For those of you who are new, my name's Boomy and thank you for watching. Now today guys, we have a video all on battleships, so very exciting. Now this video has been requested by one of my lovely patrons. This is from Angel. Thank you so much my lovely and thank you for your ongoing support. Now Angel, you say, hey, you should react to the video, how the US sank the world's largest battleship by the channel, Frankie on PC in 1080 pixel. Gosh, it's quite a mouthful. This is the world's largest battleship. And I mean, come on. Battleships are awesome. They absolutely are. So, the world's largest battleship. Now, I know this one for a bit of trivia knowledge. This is referring to the Yamato, the Japanese warship, right? Isn't that's known as the world's largest? So I think we're going to be referring to, you know, the Pacific theater battles. So at least I think it's the Yamato. Random question, guys. I actually don't know what Yamato means. I've heard it used an awful lot as a name. Yes, I am specifically referring to anime characters. My inner nerd. But yeah, I don't actually know, what does Yamato mean? What's the definition of the name of this ship? Gosh, I really hope this is the battleship in the video, otherwise it's going to make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Anyway, let's check it out. Let's see if it actually is the Yamato. And guys, if you're enjoying these reactions, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, my lovelies. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me Coffee account. That link is over here. And if you would like to help support my channel any further, I have a Patreon account. And if you want to check that out at all, that link is in the description just below there. Right, okay, let's see. Is it the Yamato?
This is the biggest battleship ever
Yeah,
built.
it is
Japan's
the Yamato!
Yamato.
It's all those fat electrician videos. See, I retained some of it.
Carried these monster 46cm Type 94s, the biggest guns ever mounted on a ship.
That would be a bit of a nightmare to encounter, right? That would strike fear in the hearts.
Today we cover her final suicide mission to the island of Okinawa, to beach herself and fight to the death.
What ship took it out? Great harmony! Oh, well, that makes sense. I wasn't too sure if it... I think I've heard, maybe, I don't know why this stays in my head, but isn't it, like the name Yamato, doesn't it refer to Japan sometimes? I know it's probably we got a few interchangeable meanings contextually. Okay, so it means great harmony. It seems very ironic to refer to a battleship as harmonious.
Japan was desperate after World War I to become a major naval power. Initially, they wanted to remain allied with the West, so they signed the Washington Naval Treaty in 1922, which limited ships to 35,000 tons and 16-inch guns. Hey, kind of rhymed as well. Yep. You see, the treaty was designed to prevent an arms race, but unfairly for Japan, for every 100 ships the US built, Japan could only build 60. So Japan made a plan to concentrate their force. They figured, why not leave the treaty, build our ships twice as big, and the Americans can't compete because they need their ships to fit through the Panama Canal.
In other words, Japan is desirous to have a new deal in the naval matters on a much more reasonable basis than heretofore.
It's the issue with you know, a lot of these treaties, they're quite restricting for nations and countries. And when all of your neighboring countries are going to war, it must make you feel very, yeah, okay. Not sympathizing, just empathizing slightly. But, you know, when you do have the restrictions on your naval fleet or your military, I can kind of see how nations would start to resent treaties. Like Germany as well.
1937, the super battleship builds began at the docks of Kure Naval Arsenal. 1.5 billion a ship nowadays. Several were planned, 3 were made, the Yamato, Shukaku and Musashi.
Okay.
It was top secret. The docks were deepened and screened off. It was forbidden to mention the 46cm guns, and a criminal offense to take a picture. You didn't want to be messing with the Japanese Gestapo, the sword-wielding Kempeitai.
I like to live by a philosophy of, if you have to keep something secret, like highly secret in his case, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Like, it's naughty.
To give you an idea of her size, this is the Bismarck, Europe's biggest battleship.
Yeah,
the Germans fibbed about her as well, said she was 35,000 tons, she was actually closer to 50. A lot of big ladies about. See, Yamato's not much longer, but damn, ladies. She got girth. And of course, she was packing these tight 94 18.1-inch Godzilla turrets. Not their official designation, I don't think. Imagine firing those.
Sir, prepare the gun for use.
But the gun hasn't been tested.
If it fails, humanity is done for.
I understand.
Brace for the flash and recoil.
Oh, the recoil.
Okay, well that might be a different Yamato. But this is a Sherman tank to scale. Looks scared. By the way, the front...
Oh, that tank looks lost. Ah! Oh my gosh. Okay, that really hammers it in, doesn't it? Like how massive the Yamato was.
Frontal armour on these was 65 centimetres. I believe it's the only armour ever made so thick it was impenetrable to all existing weapons. You can shell Calais from Dover with these. They got 42,000 metre range at 45 degrees. That's the equivalent power of firing a Ford Focus over the English Channel at 500 metres a second.
Why would you choose that comparison? Ford Focus.
Unfortunately though, the Japanese lacked radar fire and remote power control, so they had to be manually range found. The rangefinder viewports stuck out like these little metal ears at the back of the turret, and then it was this long metal tube that ran across the width. You look through here and the prisms then split the view from your left and right eye. The left eye was fixed at 90 degrees and you'd use a wheel to bring in the right eye to form a triangle. And if you know this angle, then you know that angle, and from that you can get the length.
But
in the viewport, when the top and bottom aligned, you knew that you formed your triangle. Underneath the turrets, the shells and cordite were stored. They had a system of pulleys, because the shells weighed 1,400 kilograms, to take them to the separate elevators. When they reached the top, a big mechanical arm pushed them into the breach. If you want to know the details, somebody has made an insane 3D animation of the turret. I've linked it below. Unbelievable this was made with pen and paper. You know what amazes me watching that? That there was only one fatality in Yamato's turrets. Apparently a guy got cut in half by a rogue shell bogey.
Ah, that's horrible. Oh gosh. Right. Okay, at this point, I'm thinking, you know, the Yamato has such a progressive design, would you say? It's impenetrable by any artillery at that point in time. How did the US manage to take it out?
I'm okay.
Oh,
It wasn't okay.
it's not okay.
Yamato fired these Type 91 armor-piercing shells for surface combat, up to 50 centimetre armor penetration. They had a breakaway wind cap and then a hydrodynamic head underneath, so they could dip underwater through the torpedo bulge and then through where the belt armor was thinner. If you're wondering, as I was, what the deal is with torpedo bulges, they're like an unarmoured cushion, usually filled with water, to soften torpedo explosions, because without, torpedoes cause crazy damage, because they don't penetrate, they damage with hydrostatic pressure.
Oh.
Yamato also fired these AA Sanshiki beehive rounds. They had a timed fuse and were filled with flechettes and rubber thermite, which burnt at 3,000 degrees. Apparently not very effective, but it did trick the Americans though, because the US thought Japan throughout the war had radar-controlled AA, which it didn't. So when they came under fire, they used to throw these little metal streamers called window out of the plane's window to disrupt the radar.
Which would not have been necessary given that Japan didn't. Okay, the beehive. they like explode shrapnel and kind of like, you know, the hive and the bees. Is that why it's called a beehive?
As you can see, Yamato had quite the AA compliment. If it flies, it dies, I think was the motto. If you look on the port side here, by the way, do you know how I remember that port is left? Because there's never any left when my girlfriend's been near it. Hey, hey! Anyway.
Hey.
I had these 50 Type 96 triple barrel 25mm, and then a vast assortment of Type 89 40 cals and Type 93 Shiki 13mm. These here are the AA fire controllers that supposedly coordinate the AA, but to be honest, back then AA wasn't very effective. The US were averaging 1,050 cals per plane they took down. Also, because of the main gun's blast pressure, notice everybody running in this clip, some of the AA couldn't be manned. For reference, a blast pressure of 1 kilogram a centimetre squared will tear your clothes off and knock you out. Sounds like a fun time.
What?
But a 3-barrel salvo produced 20 times that. You had to be 50 metres from the guns.
Maybe this is why the Battleship is so big. Because of the area had to be away from these. Oh my gosh.
Yamato was the heaviest armoured ship ever built, 22,895 tons of armour. It was designed to take on 5 to 6 US ships at once. Had a central armoured citadel containing the boiler fire rooms, engines and ammo, as well as the classic Japanese unprotected bow and stern. The superstructure had all the latest technology: Type 98 Hoiban low angle director, rangefinder, air defence combat post, combat bridge, compass bridge, signal deck and conning tower. At the back you've got a signalling mast to signal to other ships and a catapult at the rear for launching spotting planes. The main armour belt was 410mm of Vickers hardened. The deck was impenetrable supposedly to 1,000 kilogram armour piercing bombs dropped under 3,400 metres. Yamato did have a couple of weaknesses though. First,
Really? Because it doesn't sound like it's got many. This is like the Big Daddy.
this belt armour is extremely thick. It's actually too thick to be welded, so they had to rivet it, which is significantly weaker. And of course, the first random torpedo she took, those rivets sheared and she took on a ton of water and had to limp home.
No.
The Japanese had a solution though.
Okay.
This little crossbeam. Now, I'm not an engineer, but compared to this, that does not look sufficient.
No.
That poor ship with his wonky nose. The second problem is that the lower armour belt is the back of the torpedo bulge, so there's only 2 walls there to stop water. Now that might have been okay, but the Japanese didn't fill Yamato's bulges with water, and the bulkheads behind were very rigid, so often the torpedo blast would just bend the armour around them, letting water in.
Oh. Well, that was an oversight.
By April the 6th, 1945, the war had been disastrous for Japan. They'd been pushed back battle after battle after battle. The fate
is what happens when you underestimate your opponent.
Of the empire rested on one action, a breakthrough operation of unrivaled bravery. The Americans had just invaded Okinawa, a crucial Japanese stronghold. Yamato was to go on a one-way mission, exact maximum punishment on the Americans, beach itself and fight until destroyed. That morning, Yamato set off, commanded by Admiral Arriga.
I think it's a suicide mission for the ship itself, not necessarily the people on board. I mean, maybe.
Travelling with 8 destroyers, she had no air cover. All the remaining Japanese planes had been sent to attack the American fleet at Okinawa. One gallant attempt, a final charge of the Light Brigade.
Do you think that was because the Japanese were so confident that the Yamato by itself was plenty? It was unstoppable. This was going to wipe out the US fleet, the forces, or was it just lack of manpower?
Boat planes were sent up to spot for US submarines, but at 4 PM she was noticed by Threadfin and Hackleback. Under the cover of night, the convoy managed to lose them, and at 6 AM the next morning she reached Osami Peninsula. As the sun broke, the convoy moved into defensive formation, Yahagi leading, 8 destroyers in a 1,500-meter ring. They knew they were exposing themselves to potentially 8 hours of daylight air attack. By 10 AM, the weather is terrible for the Japanese. Low, broken 300-foot cumulus clouds, perfect for air attack. The destroyer Asashimo falls behind with engine trouble. By now,
Yeah, I misunderstood. So it's not just the Yamato that's here. Okay.
Yamato has been spotted multiple times. The US are still unsure of her heading. They don't want to lose her, but she's 250 miles away, the real limit of their bomber's strike range. 10:30. Admiral Spruance gives the shortest operational order in history to Commander Mitchell. You take them. 11 AM.
That's the shortest command in history. I mean, it's to the point, isn't it? You take them.
2,000
Take them
Japanese
out.
planes begin Operation Kikusei from Kyushu Air Base. It's going to be the greatest kamikaze attack of the war. They're too late, though, to help Yamato. The US planes have already launched.
So they did send planes in for the Yamato.
The planes the US had launched were Curtiss Helldivers, Vought Corsairs, the Whistling Death, and Hellcats as fighter support. They also sent the Turkey, the Avenger torpedo bomber. Bit of a fat boy, had to be catapulted off the ships. Also, you wanted to be the pilot because apparently there wasn't space for the radio operator and gunner to have a parachute.
Why was... You don't want to be in a plane nicknamed the Turkey. Turkeys can't fly.
George Bush Sr. had one. He actually had 3. He called them all Barbara, after his wife.
Yeah.
After having to crash land one, he nearly got eaten by Japanese cannibals, but that's another story.
Is that a true story? Were they cannibals, or is that like propaganda?
The Avengers dropped these 1-ton Mark 13 Mod 9 torpedoes. Unlike the Japanese, the Americans had trouble keeping their torpedoes running straight. The submarine version of this, the Mark 14, used to sometimes run in a circle and blow up the submarine that fired it. They had to put this plywood
Just a small, flaw in the design.
box-tail stabilizer and pickle barrel drag wing. Crikey, that was a tongue twister on the Mark 13 to keep it stable in the air because it had to enter the water at 26 to 30 degrees.
Okay.
A lot of the torpedoes were set at the wrong running depth for Yamato because they didn't realise how big she was. It should have been 18 to 22 feet, which a radio operator could have set with a screw at the back, but to save weight and fuel for the long flight distance, most of the Avengers only had a pilot. At the front, the torpedoes got a Torpex tip, equivalent to 400 kilograms of TNT. For the first 300 yards, water would run in, turn this impeller so the exploder is gradually armed, and they had a ball switch in them, so if there was a glancing blow, like this, the ball could displace in any direction, closing the contacts and releasing electricity from the condenser, and you've got a very big boom on your hands.
Oh, wow. Yamato.
It's uncertain how many hits Yamato actually took, but these are the confirmed ones that correlate between the US Technical Missions Declassified Report and Requiem for Yamato. 12:20, a 250 kilogram bomb hits starboard frame 150, glances off the gunnery control, destroying 3 12.7 centimeter AA mounts, punches a 22-foot hole in the weather deck, exploding 2 decks below, killing the entire port damage control team. Another bomb penetrates the flying deck, wiping out the main radar room. A third staves in the aft 15.5 centimeter mount as if struck by a giant hammer, destroying the fire control station and directors. Warning lights flash on the bridge that the main turret cordite store is getting hot, being heated by fire through the bulkhead. Yamato's anti-air mounts are proving relatively useless, like swatting bugs with a sledgehammer. The 50 cal rounds are barely travelling 5 to 6 times the speed of the planes. Many of the gunners have less than 1 hour training.
Oh, really? So they're manned by quite green... Okay, green soldiers, okay.
12:45, the first torpedo hits at port frame 125. The second hits port frame 150, flooding the outboard engine room and causing a list of 5 to 6 degrees. The bridge counterfloods to 1 degree. 1 PM, a torpedo hits starboard frame 124, flooding and killing everyone in fire room 7. Another hits the opposite side, flooding fire rooms 8 and 12, as well as the outboard engine and poor hydraulic machinery rooms. Yamato is now listing 15 to 16 degrees to port. The starboard engine and boiler are counterflooded, likely killing several hundred crew in there. The list is corrected to 5 degrees, but Yamato is slowed to 10 knots.
How many died on board the Yamato? I imagine it's an awful lot.
1:30, 2 more torpedoes hit port. Yamato raises the Z flag. This is her final stand.
What's the Z flag?
1:50. Now 2 damaged to perform evasive maneuvers. 3 torpedoes hit successively. 1 to starboard, 2 to port. She lists 22 to 23 degrees to port. The ship's blisters are now too far above the water to be counterflooded. She pulls a sharp left turn to counteract the list. The Allies begin targeting her rudder and stern. 2 p.m. Admiral Araga gives the order to abandon ship. Gunnery Officer Hattori locks himself in the senior wardroom to protect the Emperor's portrait and prevent it from falling into American hands.
What? Why are you concerned with protecting a portrait? Get your bum out of there. You're going to die.
2:18, Admiral Araga ties himself to the compass binnacle. His messenger Tsukamoto puts a cracker in his mouth, a traditional farewell to someone about to die. On the decks below, some of the sailors commit.
You said cracker, I was thinking of a firework. It just seemed, yeah. Okay, no, like a food cracker?
Seppuku. Surrender is dishonourable. 2:20 p.m. Yamato finally capsizes with a 120-degree list. It's not until the 1st of August 1985 that Yamato is seen again, when Pisces II locates her 1,410 feet deep in the East China Sea.
I was just thinking, has it ever, I know you were talking about a massive battleship, the biggest battleship. I was thinking, has it ever been recovered? Or do they know the exact location? Yes, they do. Where it lies at the bottom of the sea.
Her final explosion created a 20,000-foot mushroom cloud and was heard 200 kilometers away. Its likely fire reached the ammo in turret 2. Of the crew, 3,000 drowned, many being dragged down by the ship's undertow.
And, you know, losses on both sides are tragic. That was just when you hear so many with the sinking of one ship or, you know, one plane. Losses are felt on both sides, aren't they, guys?
280 survived.
Oh!
The US lost 12 airmen. The Japanese seriously underestimated US resource and strength at that time in the war. And that sometimes, as it goes, bigger isn't better, it's how you end up using it.
And how experienced your staff are. They absolutely play a huge role in it.
Really, she stood no chance without air cover of making it to Okinawa. It's argued the bitter irony is that by attacking Pearl Harbor with carriers in 1941, the Japanese rendered battleships obsolete even before Yamato was delivered, because they showed the whole world that carriers, not massive battleships, ruled the waves.
Right.
Maybe we'll never see anything like Yamato again. Maybe.
Oh, the Yamato. What am I watching? Oh! What was that at the end? It's the Yamato been brought back as like a spaceship. That the loss of the Yamato must have really been felt by the Japanese higher ups. I mean, not just because of the loss of lives, which is awful, but you know, resources and, you know, kind of reputation wise, think of the publicity, the media, actually, they might not have reported it. I don't know. But yeah, for morale, that would not have been good at all. And did it say there was only 12 lives lost? I know it's still 12 lives lost from the US here, but you know, comparatively, oh my gosh, 3,000 Japanese lives were lost when the Yamato went down. There's this 12. Did they say 12 from the US? A very successful mission there, but you know, losses on both sides. War's never a nice thing, but it's interesting. Okay, so the Yamato was just blitzed, bombed. It's very, very interesting though. So Angel, thank you very much for requesting this video, my lovely. Another awesome Battleship video. You're awesome. But very educational as well. I feel like I've learned an awful lot there. I'm slightly happy that I knew it was the Yamato. I was going to be absolutely devastated if it was talking about something else. So retained that bit of knowledge. I think maybe I remember that from watching one of the Fat Electricians videos. So do retain some of the things. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. Take care of yourselves and I will see you next time. Bye bye.